the super success can be depressogenic. Where? Tajui. Can money buy happiness? Today's why is not actually a why, it's a question, yes. And it's a very interesting question. So let's just get into it. Don't forget to subscribe and touch like. The question for today, the money maker, the biggest question on earth at the moment right now. Okay, maybe it's one of the biggest questions. Can money buy happiness? So I did my fair bit of research, and this is what I came up with. So personally, I think money can or cannot. Okay, like I don't have a stand on it, but people are usually like, money can't buy happiness, and other guys are like, you don't tell me money can buy happiness. So let's find out. And this is not my knowledge, clearly. So the phrase is usually said, money can't buy happiness. This was from a TED talk from a guy called Michael Norton. He started by saying, the phrase money can't buy happiness is false. That's what he said. And he said, this is because it will always depend on how you spend your money. So how you spend your money will determine if you can buy happiness. And the title of that TED talk was how to buy happiness. So very interesting. So this guy, I think he's a lecturer. He teaches business. He took a few students for an experiment, and so he took, let's say for example, takes two, and then gives them two envelopes. Yeah, one student, one person, he tells them, take this money and spend it on yourself. Yeah, it was not a lot of money. It was $5 on one envelope, and on the other envelope, it was $20, and he told that the person who got the $20 spend this money on someone else. Yeah, send them away. Before he gave them the money, he asked them how happy they were. Yeah, and later in the day, he called them back and asked them how happy or how happier are you now. And the people who spent money on other people said that they felt happier, as opposed to the guys who spend the money on themselves say that they didn't feel anything. Yeah, they didn't feel a difference. So, well, this was in a very developed country, to say. So they decided to do the same experiment in a developing country. So they went to Uganda and they did the same experiment. Yeah, and they gave a little money to someone, told them spend it on yourself, and gave some more to someone and told them spend it on someone else. And it also concluded in Uganda that spending money on someone else made that person happier. Yeah, this is just a study that was done. Yeah, there's an article by CNN that showed guys who won the lottery, not all of them, by the way, not all of them, but some of them who won the lottery ended up less happy and in more debt. And this was because they thought, and this is because they did the separate study. Yeah, the CNN guys, and it showed that these people who won the lottery, as they were winning the lottery, yeah, in the process, they thought their life was going to get better, like extremely better. Yeah, so they set high expectations for themselves. Yeah, when the money came, like people who knew them from like 100 years ago, okay, I'm joking, like from 10 years ago, like begged them for money, and they made rash decisions and ended up in a lot of debt. And Mr. Norton was saying that when people become rich, quote, when you get money, we tend to be antisocial as human beings, and that's okay. I'm just saying, sorry, I'm not I'm not rich, but the people who get money, and generally as human beings, when we get money, we tend to be antisocial with it. Yeah, we become less kind, and we just become less social with our money. Yeah, and as opposed to being pro-social, like, yeah, there's charity, giving it to the poor and stuff like that. Yeah, so the bottom line, like the general, like at the end, he said that spending money on other people, yeah, has a greater return than spending it on yourself. And okay, didn't fin that was not the last statement. This was the last statement by Mr. Norton. He said, if you think money can't buy happiness, then you're not spending it right. Think about it. Now, in other news, okay, not other news, but Forbes magazine wrote a very interesting article about how rich people are more prone to depression. Very interesting. I'm going to read very quickly for you. Yeah. Whether the super successful, the CEOs, the founders, the innovators are more or less prone to depression than the average person is a tricky and fascinating, not to mention controversial question. We know that the average CEO is more likely to possess subtle psychopathic traits and be more prone to addiction. In fact, those tendencies may even help the individual rise to such heights in the first place, which is weird. How do you become how does being a psychopath help you become a CEO? But what about other forms of mental health issue, like clinical depression? That particular disorder is much less likely a cause of their stardom, but rather a strange symptom of its presence. A smattering of research has suggested that authority may be linked to depression, and that CEOs may be depressed at more than double the rate of the general public, which is already about 20%. More than double, like more than 40%. Like the depression rate is more than 40% than the average person. Sad. Don't be a CEO. I'm joking. There's probably a reason why, and I'll find out. But this is very interesting. So, some popular articles have argued that extreme success has so many strings attached that it can pull a person down completely. Some studies even suggest that rich kids, if you're a rich kid, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We got you. Rich kids are counterintuitively more depressed and anxious than their middle or low income peers. And we know from across national research that depression is more common in wealthy countries than in less wealthy, less industrialized ones. Yeah? But this doesn't tell us much about the prevalence of depression in the upper versus the lower socioeconomic classes within a country. From psychologists who have treated the very high functioning C-suite types over the years, the consensus seems to be that this group is indeed more prone to major depression for a variety of reasons than the people of other socioeconomic strata. The super success can be depressogenic. Where? Tajujui, says Todd Essig, Forbes contributor and psychologist in New York City. Many C-suite executives are prone to depression despite the success, maybe even because of it. So you become depressed because you're successful. I'm getting depressed because of this article. It is important to point out that depression can affect everyone in any strata. So it can affect you. It has affected me. Yeah. But I'm okay now. And I know many people have been through or are going through depression, and we'll do that. I think that's what we should do next. Yeah. Kesho, tomorrow, I'm going to be uploading a video, and we are going to be asking the question, why are people depressed? You know, and don't forget, tell me what you think. What should our next question be? In the comment section hapo chini. I'll be sure to check it out and do my research on it. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe, touch like, and check up here for my other videos. No matter no matter how richly or simply one lives, is immune. That said, there seems to be something about extreme success that puts one at a higher risk for depression. Perhaps because it is so pressurized, so lonely, or so empty, it triggers depression in those you'd least expect it. In fact, some of the most successful people in history have suffered from relentless, incapacitating depression. Think about it. That's very interesting. Human beings are wow, depression. That's been it for today, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, touch like, and share, smile.